I know this is always happening. Yeah, you always wear jeans.
Today's different. I didn't know what you were wearing.
That's why, yeah, I know.
Hey, gotta get that beat going. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hustle Reports, where we develop a culture of entrepreneurship by highlighting the different stories of business success and share our expert advice. Today's episode, we're going to be teaching you guys how to hustle a car dealership.
Yeah, or a car salesman.
Or a car salesman, whoever that guy that comes up on the lot, we're going to teach you how to get him.
Yeah, exactly. Because why should you be hustled by a car salesman when you could go in there and like just totally take over and get what you want out of the deal, right?
100%. We're going to teach you how to do it. She's done it. I've done it. I've been on the other side, hustling cars. So we're going to give you guys some really practical advice today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming live from Pie Hops Restaurants in southeastern Connecticut, right in like the quiet corner, as they call it. It's close to a casino called Mohegan Sun, another casino called Foxwoods, about an hour and a half from Boston, a few hours from New York. So we're in a great location. The restaurant we're actually above is called Pie Hops. They're a gastropub. They've got some great stuff on the menu. If you're in the area, make sure you to come check it out. They're one of our sponsors, so big shout out to them. So yeah, I heard you like giving me a hard time about my clothes. What's up?
Okay, so usually you wear ripped jeans, but I think because we've been on this podcast a little bit, you're trying to copy me. Like even the shoes.
How would I
today.
even know what you were wearing?
I don't know. I just like you usually wear ripped jeans. Like you should stand up and show everybody.
Yeah, I guess I can show
Like-
you guys my flat jeans. I
Yeah.
got like a casual look on
Okay,
today. You know?
and then like I'm short, but yeah, I'm wearing this T-shirt. It says "Crack is whack."
Crack
on it.
is definitely whack.
It's so whack. And then on the back of the shirt, it says "Don't believe the pipe." It's a really good shirt.
Yeah, what's the brand?
It's from the store at the mall called. They have like all that weird stuff. Not Spencer's. What's the other store? Oh,
Hot Topics.
Topic. Yes.
Yeah, Hot Topics.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good finds in there.
We've
know?
got some hot topics for you today.
That's right. Yes, let them know.
I don't even think people say the word hot anymore. It's like lit. Lit is like the evolved version of hot.
Well, Paris Hilton says that's hot.
She's hot.
Yeah, I like Paris.
I do too.
She's like a mentor to me.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you like about her most?
Oh, what I like about her most is she doesn't have to do everything that she's doing. You know, she is heir to millions, and she's decided to take on this whole life of waking up at like 4 in the morning. You got to do hair and makeup. You got to like actually hustle.
Yeah.
Like, she has over 19 businesses.
What?
Yeah, so 19 streams of income coming in.
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
got to do. Multiple streams of revenue. That's
Right.
one of like the key points of success. If you're going to
Mhm.
grow and actually hit those millions and maybe even billions, people become billionaires
Mhm.
nowadays. You got to have multiple streams.
Yeah, one of her hustles is actually getting paid $1 million to DJ. That's how much
$1
it
million.
costs, right? And she shows up to host.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, nothing less.
That's it. That's all she
Yeah.
does. Just shows up and is like, put that $1 million in my bank account.
That's right. Yeah, and she pushes buttons and she plays music, and her sets maybe like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes long, an hour.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah, she's done like all these really big music festivals all over the world and
I did not know that.
shows, concerts, right? And then a lot of her other businesses are in fashion. So she has a shoe line, all these different perfumes, makeup. You know, she shows up at these events. People pay her
Yeah.
to do appearances.
Shout out to Paris Hilton. Maybe one day we'll get you on the show because I know you're out there listening to us.
Mhm.
And if you're not, you're gonna be because this thing is about to boom.
That's right, because it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. It's lit.
That's hot.
Yeah, I like that. So drinking my hustle juice today, I was just kind of thinking a little bit, and I really am excited for today's show because hustling a car dealership, that's like useful information. And
Yeah,
I didn't
like-
even think like I have that. You have that.
Totally. I couldn't believe it when I pulled it off we'll talk about that later. But I'm like so excited that I actually get to tell this story because I don't actually walk around and tell people this casually.
Yeah. You could pay for this information. Like legit, we could write a book about it or do like one of these, I don't know, buy into my 6-week course on how to hustle a car dealer. But we're going to give you free, free information today.
Yeah. I mean, this information's out there, but when I was in the space for looking for a car, I had to look on several different websites, read all these different blogs, and research on the car dealership side. Like there's certain lingo or there's a process or procedure that they use, and then I had to read like all these comments on like Reddit or I don't
Reddit. You know about Reddit?
yeah, like you know when you Google things and then it just pops up and they're like, oh, this information's on Reddit, so I just click on it and I read like whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Quick tip about Reddit, right? So it's like one of the most underused social media platforms. What makes it great is it's not like a mass marketing social media. It's very niche. So you can find your people if you're trying to like market your course or you have some e-commerce website and you're trying to get some traffic, just find your tribe on Reddit. Go into the forums, find out where people are talking about, whatever niche product you have and start posting your links in there and don't just spam them though. Have a conversation, like get it going and pop your links in there.
You know what I did?
Little advice.
I Googled how to buy a car with $0 down.
What?
Yeah, that's what led me to on this journey of walking out of a car dealership with a car with not having to make a car payment in a month.
What?
Yeah.
With zero down.
Money down. Yeah.
And that's what they say that on like the radio commercials, 0 money down, come down today. But at the end of the day, they try so hard to get that down payment.
Right. Yeah. On top of that, being self-employed, so I didn't have W-2s.
Ooh, that makes the hustle even better if you did it like that.
Such a great story.
So don't give it to them yet. Don't let them know.
Yeah. You guys, in the meantime, can go and like Google this stuff and see what you come up with. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, big facts. Absolutely. So we have a very special guest coming on today as well. His name is Dilly from Dilly Photography. Great guy. We're going to have him come on in a minute. We're just going to sit back, drink our hustle juice though. Actually, so if someone Googled how to buy a car with 0 money down, it came up in the results.
Oh, there's so many different sites or topics or blogs or newspaper articles with this information.
Right. We should rename this video "How to Buy a Car with 0 Money Down," so we get up in that mix.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah.
Maybe we'll rename it later. But if you landed on this video, whatever it was you were searching for, you're in the right place. Glad to have you on the Hustle Reports. That's what we do. So without further ado, let's get Dilly on the line, see if we can get him on there. Big shout out to our producers, by the way. Actually, they really got us going really well today. We're in here. Everything's all set up. It's all nice. We can focus on bringing you good content because, man, getting caught up in the technical side.
Yeah, that's something I know nothing about.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, thank God for the producers and making this happen.
For
like
sure.
High quality stuff,
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
I say this all the time, and it's not just like my shtick. It's the best is yet to come. Like we are building something here.
Yeah, this is such a great time to be alive. I mean, despite COVID, I've had like a really great year. Instead of doing the usual, it's really taken me back into like, what are we really doing? So connecting with people, networking, and really having real conversations with people and like making shit happen despite the fact like the whole world is on this global lockdown. I'm like, you just can't stand still. Like you got to keep on hustling, like COVID or non-COVID.
I love your mindset, by the way. That is just so dope. There's so many people who they don't think like that. They're just like, oh my God, everything's falling apart. The world's a mess. We're going to, Armageddon's coming. And I'm
it's
like,
totally not true because in America,
man.
we've already had 33 recessions since 1854. 1854 was the first one. So there are so many companies that were born out of the very first recession. And then, there's all these other events that rock the entire world from First World War, the Spanish flu, the Second World War, 9/11, I don't know, just like a bunch of stuff.
You know what's crazy? You mentioned the Spanish flu and all of these events, though.
Yeah.
And like almost 100 years ago to the day, we had a pandemic, and then followed by this roaring 20s where people just like unleashed. Capitalism was just like fierce.
Hmm.
There was so much success going on. There was economic boom. So
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I think that's coming
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
if history repeats itself.
Yeah, right. But I mean, sometimes like in life, you just have to kind of hit rock bottom. Not saying that everyone's going to hit rock bottom, but I think having the COVID global pandemic, people falling ill, people passing away, like that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
But
it's
from,
horrible, man.
bad stuff, like a lot of good can be born out of it. So, like you
Yeah,
said, the best is yet to come, and you just sometimes got to make it the best.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I tell you what, people are gonna look back on COVID and the whole situation and be like, man, Corona was just one hell of a year.
Right. Oh, it's not over. We're like halfway there.
Really,
Totally.
I don't pay close
There's
attention
no
to this
way.
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
I
too
mean,
I'm too busy just like grinding it out, just doing my thing. And
right. Yeah. So like there's events that I mean have been predicted. Like if you just look at how, like for example, in real estate, right? So when the COVID hit, there are like actually a lot of people living in their homes that they can't afford.
hmm,
So they put their houses up for like on the MLS to list them. And when the COVID hit, they were like, hey, you could put in for forbearance, so you don't have to
hmm,
pay for so for the house. So a lot of people took their homes off the listings
hmm.
and they put in for it. So you get 180 days, and then you can have an extension. So that's another 180 days. So that whole program is well on its way, and we're like halfway. But
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
so
I
yeah,
know they also passed the recently another stimulus
that's
package.
right. Yeah, you were telling me about that earlier.
Yeah, and what's pretty cool about this one that's getting passed is it's including self-employed people, freelancers, independent contractors, like the remote workers. They're going
Hmm.
to be able to get some PPP.
Right. Well, you're kind of an expert with helping businesses and business owners and self-employed.
It's what I do. I'm a
Yeah,
business advisor of many things. I do marketing, but you end up playing this role. You're almost like the uncle for the business, and you're
that's
kind of like
true.
the wise uncle. Like you should apply for the PPP, and here's what makes you eligible.
Right.
So I end up doing that. That's not what I meant to do. It's
Right.
just
Well,
what
I feel
happens.
like your expertise could be really helpful. Maybe you could get the word out or something, and
I'm thinking
right,
about it. I'm thinking about it for
because a lot
sure.
of people could really benefit from that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another episode and we'll talk a little bit about that in more detail. It's like fresh, hot off the press. It just came out
Right.
today, the
Yeah.
news of that. So, there's a lot of unknowns still,
Hmm.
but we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Let's see if we can
Cool.
get Dilly on the line here. I know that he was excited to jump on. So let's see if we can get him on here.
So Dilly has become one of my most favorite people in the entire world. You know how we met? He came into my store on Franklin Street.
He did.
Yeah, and then we just had a conversation about all different types of things, and he showed me on his Instagram um, his photography, and his cousin was there. She's also very creative, younger than him. And I'm like, wow, this is like Norwich talent here. Like the energy is great. Like he's also Peruvian and
Okay.
Puerto Rican, so he's got a little like flavor to him. So I love food.
Oh, there's our
Oh,
guy.
here he is.
There's Dilly.
Welcome, welcome to the Hustle Report.
Hey guys, how are you guys?
So glad to have you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me on your guys' show. And by the way, Peter, I got the ripped jeans out and
Oh,
the two
he's
chains.
got my
Silver
ripped
fashion.
jeans.
But no, he was swagger jacking my style. I was
Oh,
rocking this a few
come
years
on.
ago.
That's true. We
I'm
did
kidding.
notice that. We really did.
No,
notice
but
Really?
that. Yes.
serious talk. Like I literally thought about it, like just to like get it off my chest. I was thinking about wearing some slacks today on commemoration of few weeks ago's episodes, but then I don't want people calling me a slacker as well too, or
No.
anything.
Well,
So I'm gonna stick with these two chains.
okay, so you got the
I like
two
the chain.
chains. You got the two chains. You've got the Peruvian swag. You've got the ripped jeans. What else do you
Yeah.
do, Dilly? Tell us a little bit about your background. What do you do for business?
All right, so what I do is basically I am a photographer. I started doing photography actually like a year ago. I actually started
Amazing.
doing photography. It all happened all of a sudden because when I went to New York, I was taking pictures of my phone, and I've been taking pictures ever since. But I always took pictures I took a picture of, I believe was the World Trade Center. And then when I looked how like nice it was, I was like, wow, I could do so much more along with this, you know, not only that, but if I could take pictures of landmarks, I could do the same thing with people. So that's why I said, you know what, I want to become a photographer. The first thing I did was I said, you know what, the money I had, I just went to Best Buy, bought a camera and a tripod and everything. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get this going. I basically, and during that time, I am a college student still. I
What do you
swapped
study?
majors to graphic design.
Oh, you said graphic design?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you went to school for graphic design, fell in love with photography, and what have you been, doing as far as photography? What kind of projects have you worked on?
Well, the one, like to name a few, one of the projects that I worked on was basically with Manny's Barber Lounge. Shout out to Manny. I did a photo shoot for his grand opening. What I also did was I kind of got a little dip into videography myself. So I basically did a video for the Norwich Police Department, which is the K9 T-shirt contest. That's one of the videos. I'm working on a project, which I'm not going to say because, Peter, NDA. No,
NDA.
but also one of the other things, the photo shoots that I did was, I believe was the Salvation Army. It was this, I did photo shoot, not a photo shoot, but like I took pictures of the whole event. And also I did some B-roll as well, because I felt like, you know what, I got this little project up my sleeve that I want to do, that I want to keep it closed for the time being. So I feel like that's really important.
Look,
And
Suki is over here like a proud mom right now. I can see it on her face because she's been working with you from the beginning, from what I hear, and just to hear how you're progressing, she's excited. Am I right or?
Totally.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
poster
Suki,
child.
she literally is the reason why she gave me a career. Like, she's literally the reason why, like, I keep on going, because like the way how I see her working hard, like when it comes to like her other projects, I just look at her like, wow, like she could do this. Like, and she'd be staying up late as night as possible. And you know what they say, there is never too late to work. You can work anytime you want, because there's people out there that they're going to say, oh, you should work a 9-to-5 type of job. But no, I feel like work could be happening anytime, anywhere, any place.
That's the hustle right there. That's the drive.
And that's the key. That's the key to be a successful young entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the keys.
We talk about it all the time. There's 168 hours in a week. If you have this 9-to-5 mindset, you're really never going to elevate to that next level. It's going to be really difficult to be an entrepreneur. You've got to kind of do the things that other people aren't doing, right? You're like of a whole different class at that point.
Exactly. Is it okay if I swear? Like,
just say it. I'll do it for you.
I want to say this. I kind of find like the whole, when people say the mindset of the 9-to-5, I just kind of find it bullshit, because it's like, why people always live that mindset like 9-to-5? Like, all right, I'm going to do my 8 hours and call it a day to go to work. No, like I will come to the Foundry. I will work from day all the way to 3 a.m. the next day. Like, I will work, edit. And I'm not complaining. I sleep fine, and I'm proud of it, because that's the true way of hustling, is to, sometimes you gotta take some risks as well.
Right.
Words of wisdom from Dilly. You see.
So yeah. So I
showing up.
That's basically all the stuff that I have for Dilly Photography. I got more things coming into the future for 2021, which stay tuned.
It's coming, absolutely.
But, yeah.
So I heard you mention something called the Foundry. What is the Foundry?
So basically, to describe it, the name is called Foundry 66. What it is, it's a co-working space, and basically it's basically tons of businesses working under one roof. So for example, there are offices and cubicles, like to name a few, there's Global City Norwich under this roof. There is also one of the people that I know, Sean, he's under the roof as well too, and so forth. So it's basically under one roof, and it's by NCDC, and it's a really good place to come, because it's basically like, say for example, you're at home and you can't work because all the noise and whatnot. At least you could come and escape here and work. So that means no distractions, no bothering, and you can work in peace.
Man, they're gonna have to sign you up. You sold it to us. I'll tell you what, I'm ready to go sign up. But at this point in the show, we like to kind of turn it over to you to ask us some questions. I know I was asking you some questions there, but this is like your chance to get some, advice from us, some consulting. There's no charge for it. I won't send you an invoice later. But yeah, what, do you have any questions? How can we help?
All right. So I have questions right here, and I have 3 questions, and and when I was doing my questions, I kind of felt like these are like the important questions that I always want to ask somebody who's been in the business for so long. So my first question is, what were the trials and tribulations you guys overcame to get to where you at today?
You go first.
Oh, sure. So one of the trials and tribulations I had was when I started my business. I like to talk about this one. When I started my business, I didn't jump all in right away, right? Because financially, I couldn't do that. I was still working at a company from 9 to 5, and then I would go home at night and work from 5 to 9. So I was doing both. It was like my side hustle at first. There came a point, though, that I started to gain some real traction with my business, and it was interfering with my 9 to 5, and it was noticeable. Right. There was the point where I'm like picking up the phone and answering for my clients during my work shift.
Right.
That caused so much conflict. And I knew I had to make the jump. I knew I was at a point where like, okay, I need to leave this company. But I had this drilled into me, like you should never leave a job unless you have another one. Right. You should give your 2 weeks notice and all of this stuff that's, it's true in essence, but maybe not for the entrepreneur. I really had to like just take the leap at one point, and that was a trial that I can't really prepare anybody for. It's just saying, look, there is going to come a time. Well, number one, don't quit your day job right away. Treat it as a side hustle until you've got some sales revenue coming in. And number two, get yourself prepared because there's going to come a time where you're going to have to take that leap and just say, you know what, the security blanket of the job, I don't need it if I want to get to that next level. So those are some of my trials there and some advice for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for me, 2 things, it's mindset and ego. So until I mastered and really got a hold and control of my mindset, I wasn't able to work on the second part, which is ego. Because with ego, it's even this thing that people do. Like it's hard for them to apologize or say sorry or to be like held fully accountable. And when you're a small business owner or a large business owner, if you don't have that and it's all about you and you're not willing or capable, really, you don't have the capacity to humble yourself, then it's really hard for you to see things in like a whole new light. Like you just can't be flexible about things because you're just so stuck on like, I'm right and this is my way of doing things. And it's just like, listen, it's not working that way, in business, like I would say 99% of whatever it is that you do, there's a people factor in it. And
100%.
people are constantly changing. Like you can't compare apples to apples. You can't say like, well, we had this employee and they were really great before. And why aren't you just like Joe Smith? Like they're not going to be like him. And, the new person has a new set of skills. So you really have to get over that.
For sure.
Right.
Now I want to kind of flip it around a second though. What makes you ask about trials and tribulations? And you don't have to have an answer for that. I just want you to think about that because underneath that concern of the trials and tribulations that somebody else as a successful entrepreneur is facing is probably your worry that you're going to face a lot of hardship and maybe you're not going to be able to stand up and do it. I'm going to tell you, no matter what comes your way, you're going to be able to adapt and adjust to it, right? Like you just got to like go through and you're not going to get it perfect. What the fuck is perfection anyways? Right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I just wanted to give you some food for thought there.
Yeah. And Dylan, poor Dylan, he has to hear this shit from me all the time, right? Like Dylan, how many times do you come talk?
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I gotten used to it because it kind of feels like Bible to my ears because it's kind of like it's basically like a reality type. It's like a reality check, like it's hitting at my face. Because, for example, like I just want to say this real quick. There's gonna be people out there that they're telling me that you can't do this, you can't do that. I come up with a motto. Everybody says no, 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 but in my mind, I say yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm not gonna care about whoever the fuck is telling me that I can't do this, and yeah, I'm gonna still hustle.
That's right. It's like an
Damn
alternative.
right.
That's right. It's like an alternative source of energy, like the
course.
negativity that people try to throw on you. Like you can use that and motivate yourself to like say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
Exactly.
who
And
cares
the
what
thing,
you
the
think?
thing that I've been using like to get this, to have this type of mentality is this book right here. I've been reading this book, and that kind of gave you the mentality, like, all right,
Hold
I should
it up
just like
again.
not
What is it?
care about people. Well, what is it?
Show us the book. All right.
Subtle art of not giving up. I can't say the word
Why not?
It's the
because I
title of
got
the
family
book.
watching me.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Oh, so the F word is off limits.
Yeah. Hi, mom. Hi, dad. Hi, grandma. How are you? But yeah, it's the subtle art of not giving a fuck. It's a good book. It basically got through high school, my senior year, to what it is now. So
Yeah.
this book is kind of like a really like, it helped me a lot to make me the person that I am today.
Absolutely. All right. Do you have any other questions for us, or?
So my next question is, what advice would you tell your past self, and what are the things you could have changed about it?
I'm gonna flip it to you.
Okay, so I would, if I could go back in time, I would definitely tell my past self to like not give a fuck about what people think. Really, that has led to my demise because I listened to what other people were telling me. So what was impossible for them was not necessarily impossible for me. And then, that's where the mindset comes in, right? So as soon as I decided to change my mindset and just, blank out everything that everyone was telling me, I was like, you know what? I'm on fucking fire over here. Like, I know what I want. I know what I'm doing. Like, I trust myself and I have confidence. I don't know why people do that. Like, it's just really like freaking crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's really
Mhm.
great. Like same thing I would say to my, self, 15 years ago. Another thing I would say is you don't know it all, so stop thinking you do. That's what I would say to myself, just like that. Today, I realize what I know. I know what I know.
Yeah.
And all I know is the limitation of my own knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
That's all I really know.
Right.
So-
And for me, it was also like, don't be afraid to try. Because even if you don't know something and people are scared for you, they're like, oh, you don't know enough, you shouldn't take that risk. It's not their right to really tell you that. Like, you only live once. So what if you make mistakes? So what if you fail? Like, what's failure even? I mean, it's just like trying
Exactly.
something again in a different format. That doesn't necessarily mean you failed. It's just gonna lead you to a better option.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And also
And you know what-
trust your instinct. Trust what you know. So when you do know something and you believe in it, trust it no matter what else anybody says to you. It could be your mother, your father, your grandmother, all respect to them, right? And be respectful about it, but you
Mhm.
gotta follow your heart. That's what's gonna
Exactly.
take you far. It's what's gonna get you up in the morning. You're gonna put the actual work in and the energy, because if you don't believe in it, you're just following somebody else's dream or whatever your parents told you to do, you're only going to go so far.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get there, you just might not be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I feel like happiness is the main key. And that basically, like, if you want to be a successful person in this business, so to speak, all you got to do is just keep your head up in the game. Don't let anybody like kind of like piss on your own parade. And just move in silence. That's what they say. Move in silence.
There you go. That's right.
You got it. So listen, we appreciate you coming on today, Dilly. We hope you found it useful and practical.
Yeah.
As you leave, if you could just take a minute and tell us, give some promotion about your business, what it is that you do, and how people can find you.
Okay, so Dilly Photography. If you guys want, you can follow me on my Instagram, Javier Escobar Official on Instagram. I also am gonna be releasing a clothing brand in 2021 called Deluxe. So you can check it out at deluxe.closet. And also my site Deluxe Closet, which is gonna be up and running pretty soon. And for Dilly Photography, I'm still working on the Instagram because I had to change the name from where it was to it is now, but it's gonna be up and running. So stay tuned on my Instagram story. It's going to be there and ready to go.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, Dilly. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for having me on here, especially you, Peter, and Suki. You guys are awesome people.
Thanks.
Oh, man,
All right.
It's great, right? Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so good. So now,
All right, guys.
bye.
Bye, Dilly.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you at the Foundry.
All right, sounds good.
So now we're gonna get into the meat of it here. We're gonna talk about how to hustle a car dealer. So why don't we start off a little bit about your story here?
Yeah.
You know, give us
Definitely.
the long and short of it.
Okay, so like yeah, long and short, definitely. So I've always had really shitty cars. And I just decided, so this was in like 2015. I was all done with that. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. They just keep breaking down. And it wasn't until like, so the last car that I had was this Nissan Altima. It had like over 250,000 miles on it. And every single week, I would find myself at the automotive shop putting money into the car, right? So the timing belt broke, something with the exhaust or whatever. And it was always like 900, then 1200, then 1500 every single week, right? But like this is the only vehicle that I had to get me from point A to point B. And for me, it was always work related.
Mm.
So it's like I needed this car to go and make money. It's not even like, oh, I need this car just to drive around in and do nothing with. Like that's what would bring me to the place, the location where I would like do my hustle and then whatever, make money. So like it was costing me actually more. Like all my money was being eaten up, and it was like crazy, right? But when you don't have really good credit and you're trying to save for down payment, but you can't because you have to go and get your car fixed every week, it's like counterproductive. I'm like, why am I even going to work?
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I started researching into actually making a car payment, and I don't like this commitment crap, especially when it comes to that. I'm like, it's a materialistic item. I don't want to be like that committed to something which doesn't really give me a return back, but I'm like stuck in it for like 5 years, 60
Right.
months.
60 months,
Oh
72
my gosh.
months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Terrible. So when I started Googling how to buy a vehicle with 0% down, and bad credit, that's another thing too you should Google. I discovered that a lot of people were talking about how you could go in and like tell the car dealer your situation, and every car dealership is different. Every single car salesman is a different person.
Yep.
You can't say like, oh, I'm gonna go into whatever, like Inskip in Warwick and get that same experience on Monday that I am on Tuesday, because it might be a different employee.
Yep.
So after doing all this extensive research, I like got the confidence to drive my shitbox car down to New London to this car dealership, and the car was sputtering. It was like
Oh, so you barely even made it there.
barely even made it in there. Like it
Okay.
was so bad. Like all the lights came on in the dashboard, and I pulled it like to the first spot because like
Yep.
it would just be embarrassing to like block the driveway and then like get the car salesman to push me into the spot. Like just
Yeah.
bad luck. So I made sure, okay, so this is a little bit of like a trick. If you're a male, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm a female.
There's
And
an
I kinda-
advantage to car buying. So you might want to send your sister, your cousin,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
friend,
So
your
pay-
girlfriend,
yeah.
your wife, something.
Do whatever it takes, right? So pay attention, kids, here. First of all, I scheduled my appointment for a day when it was rainy, so it was wet. I wore a short skirt, and it like kind of like clung to my legs, right? And like my hair's long.
Like
so-
damsel in distress type
yeah, yeah,
of thing.
yeah. So like it's a well-known fact that no one really like goes and buys cars like on a rainy day,
they're slow on rainy
Yeah,
days.
people don't like that, like, because you got to get it in and out of cars, you got to test drive them, you got to walk the lot, like it's not enjoyable. But for me, the reward would be like, this is an opportunity, because if I leave here with a car, I don't care if it's like fucking raining or not raining, like
Yeah.
right. So I was like determined. So that's where the mindset comes in, and also the ego. So instead of being like, oh, this is really like a sleazy thing to do, and like try and hustle these car salesmen and like use my female powers to do that, I'm like, listen, I'm a single fucking female with a child, right? So I'm like a single mother, and like my child needs to get to school, and like she has like all these different needs, and who else is gonna like bring her around and do all that, and like
Got to do what you got to do.
right? So I'm like, whatever, I'm not gonna go and have sex with these people, right? Like that's a whole different story.
Yeah, no, it's,
I'm just gonna go in there and like have a conversation a little bit, right? Go in there. So the car salesman is like, "Oh yeah, hi. Like, what are you looking for?" I'm like, "Oh, like a car. I don't know." Mind you, I had gone onto their little website, like,
Ooh, so that's one right there. You just
Okay.
before you go on,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah,
one. That's
yeah.
a big one. I'm like a reformed car dealer.
yes, let's. Okay.
No. We're gonna
let's
go on
hear
your stuff.
about
We'll
this.
hear about.
Okay,
We'll tag team this.
okay.
So one of the things that we could not stand when I was a car dealer is those people who leveraged the power of the internet and went onto the website and did their homework and got the price.
Yeah.
Because on the website, that is there's laws. There's laws that whatever they post out online is going to be their bottom price, right? They can't manipulate that as much as they can as like a sign on the window on the lot or like some piece of paper that they just scratch together and make up and present to you. That was a good move on your part.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, insider knowledge. Do your homework, go to the website, get that number. Even while we used to do this, like we'd run interference, other salespeople. So like if we left the desk, right? And we saw someone pull out their phone, it was just like an unwritten rule in the car dealership, like get that fucking person off their phone. They're on the internet. They're going to find the price.
Right. Yeah, they're researching.
Yeah, it's like big. It's a big one.
And then they're comparing it to like Kelly Blue Book or NADA now.
What's Kelly Blue Book? I think that's important for people to know.
So Kelly Blue Book is this database where you could put in like, I guess like a VIN number, the vehicle, like year, make, model, and then kind of find out like if it's in good condition, fair, excellent, whatever, poor. I don't really know all the like, ranges.
Yeah, it's kbb.com. You can get the real value of your vehicle. Right? Because when you go there, they're going to try to like gravitate to a few different things. They're going to try to gravitate to the trade, what you're trading in, and they're going to try to devalue it and tell you, oh, your car is only worth $1,000 when it might be worth $3,000. And KBB is a tool you can arm yourself with.
Right. Yeah. So definitely use that. And the other one, is it NADA or NADA?
Yeah, NADA.com.
NADA. Do you say NADA or do you just say NADA?
Nada.
Okay. All right. Works. Yeah. Works for me. So so I used all of those tools or resources, and then I chose a car actually to test drive that day, and it was an Audi. It was a 2006, and it was a standard. So I just needed something where it was like I needed a reason to go there. Like, not saying that I was going to buy that Audi, right? But I did like the fact that it had like the heated leather seats and the moonroof and like a good sound system. But I've driven like a lot of Audis before, and I don't know why, but when so stupid, right? People are going to be like, "Oh my!"
No, I want to hear this. What is it?
Fucking bitch, right? So the leather seats. I don't know why, but like a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them. When you move the seat forward and backwards, it rubs against the plastic console, and it makes a sound, and it sounds like farting. No, really, it really bothers me. And so all these like car systems, I even got.
It's true though. It's true. I'm laughing. Yes, yeah.
I'm like, why the fuck? Like, would you make a car?
So you got in the car and you farted when you got in the car. That was part of the strategy.
That wasn't part of the strategy. No, but I was using that strategy as a way to complain about the vehicle.
Oh, so you started devaluing their car.
Yes, correct.
Interesting.
So it was my lucky day because also they got me into the vehicle, which I chose because that was what my appointment was based on, to take a test drive in this car. And I said, I'm going to test drive this car on the 95, and I'm going to drive it the way I drive it, and I'm going to go to Mystic and then go where the Marriott is or whatever, and then turn around because that's where they have the roundabout, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, okay. Like, they weren't thinking of that. They were just going to take me for some stroll down Coleman Street. And I'm like, I don't even live here. Why would I drive?
Another good move. You took your route so you could really like drive it how you wanted to.
You control the situation. You don't allow others to control the situation.
That's another thing they teach you. They teach you that the moment you lose control of the deal in a car dealership, you lose the deal.
Right.
So they do a lot to take control of that. All kinds of like little hidden persuasive things, like the way you stand next to somebody, making sure they always sit down. They teach you can never close a deal if you're standing up. So make sure they sit down at the desk because you're in control of that deal. All this sort of stuff. So you took control of the deal by saying, I'm going on my test drive, not yours, buddy.
Right. So then he gets in the car and I said, put your seatbelt on. And I took that car like down the 95, like we in and out of traffic, and did about like 120. And the car, this is where I say it was my lucky day, was shaking. There was something wrong with the brakes. So the entire time I was bitching and complaining about this, whatever, well-established dealership who doesn't put safety before the customers, right? So I'm like, how dare you put me in this vehicle and you put my life at risk and your life at risk? What the fuck are you thinking?
You said that to them?
I did, totally. Yeah. And so the guy was like shaking the car because first of all, I was going really fast. Like, I just drive fast all the time.
Rule number 3 when going to hustle a car dealer, have balls. Like, just tell them that whatever they're doing sucks. And
Yeah.
you know, like,
you gotta tear them
how
apart.
dare you put me in this junk car?
Yeah.
Safety first, my ass.
Yeah.
You gotta have balls with them,
Right.
right?
I'm like, who's in charge here? You got a manager, like, on staff right now? Like, I want to talk to him. So we come back and he's like, oh, hang on. And he's trying to go and talk to people, like secretly going to these different cubicles. And I'm like, fuck that. So I go and I follow him and I'm like, is this a manager? Who's this guy? Is this a manager? I'm like, I have a complaint. He's like, oh, hang on. Like, no, that's not the manager. I'm like, well, then why does his title, like, why is he wearing a gold, like, name badge? Like, you don't have the fucking golden name badge, so who's this guy, right?
So that's
So he's
another
like,
good
I'm
move you
I'm
did.
the
Wow, you're like a
senior.
pro. We could do a whole thing on this. Like,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
really
yeah.
broke them down.
Oh, broke them down. Yeah, definitely. I'm telling you, I had $0, right, on me. My bank account was like negative, I don't know, like $28 or something like that. So I didn't even have money in my bank account that day.
So you're like, I have nothing. I want a
I
car.
really have, yeah, like I really needed the car though, but I knew I was good for the money. I had just like, because the reason why I didn't have any money is because I had to pay for the shitty Altima to get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't pay for it to get fixed, then how was I going to drive myself to the car dealership? You see?
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was like a whole situation. So I ended up talking to the manager, and they're like, "Oh, well, like we have other cars, And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, right?" Like, I'm in a dealership. I'm like, "Okay, let's find something else." So he's like, "Well, what specifically are you looking for in a car?" I'm like, "Well, like a good radio, right?" So then you play stupid girl, right? They're like, "Oh, a radio." First, she was complaining about the car all shaking and safety is paramount, and now we're just gonna shift to this basic concept of like you really need a radio, right?
Yeah.
So I test drove like a Hyundai, like a Ford, like just different like American Asian cars, a Toyota. And he's like, "Do you like this car?" And I'm like, "Well, like I once had this car and the radio like popped out. How come this one doesn't have that?" And he was like, "Because this is stock." I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" Like, I pretended I didn't know, just so I could keep conversation going and just so we could have like something to talk about, right?
Yep.
So he was like, "Well, it seems like you need like a better car, like music is important to you." I said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "And the seats are very uncomfortable." So he's like, "Well, what kind of seats are you looking for?" I'm like, "Leather." So we test drove this one. It wasn't heated. I'm like, "Oh, I'm very cold. Like it was raining that day." "Oh, you want heated leather seats now?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of dark in this other vehicle, like maybe a moonroof or something." So by the end of like testing, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 cars, he's like, "What you're trying to tell me is you need to be in a BMW." I'm like, "Oh, no, I could never afford that." And he's like, "No, you should test drive it, right?"
So now he's like, you're like, oh, BMW, yeah, this is gonna be a good one. But you're playing off like, nah, I don't really want it.
Yeah.
Like hard to get almost.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like his words, not mine, right? So
Interesting.
he put me in the BMW and then I like sat there like this and he's like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, "I don't see what the point is of test driving this car when I can't afford it anyways." And he's like, No, we can make it work. You said you wanted a radio, the heated leather seats, like, all of my complaints." And he's like, "This is the car." And I'm like, "Well, okay, if you say so, you're the expert, right?" So we drive the car and I'm like,
That's another good one because internally at a car dealership, every single one of them wants to feel like they're the best. They know everything about the cars, product knowledge. And so if you like allow them to be positioned as the expert, that's another good move.
Right. But I couldn't come into the whole deal with like, "Oh, you're the expert. Show me everything you've got." Right. I had to like build that whole rapport, break them down emotionally because that's what they do to the customer. So now I flip the script.
So you walked away out of this car dealership with zero money down.
Yeah.
A car that was way better than the one you had.
Totally.
And
it fucking worked out.
This is great.
Like everything worked in the car, right?
Yeah.
So it's a BMW, it's a 2010.
Yeah.
328 iX. Oh, and I also said safety. I have a child. I need the whole roll cage thing. You know what I mean? The airbags, safety features.
That's great.
Right. And so what happened was he started running my credit and it was really bad. And he was like, "So you seriously don't have anything?" I'm like, "What part of fucking $0 don't you understand?" I'm like, "Are we going to do this deal? Yes or no?" And I'm like, "I'm not leaving here. What time do you close?" Like, and I think it was like they closed at 8 or 9. I'm like, "I'll be here all day." And he's like, "Well, I guess I could start calling all these banks and seeing what I could do." I'm like, "Good." And then I did find out he had been there for 16 years. So he was like senior and he knew all the different bankers. So he could like work out different deals with them. So he began faxing and like sending everything in. Oh, what also really helped.
So wait a minute, I do want to disclose something.
Okay.
So I heard you say that the guy knew the salesperson knew all the bankers. And as an
Like the
insider,
reps or whatever.
yeah,
or
as
whatever.
as an
Yeah.
insider, the sale, no matter what the salesman tells you, if he's got relationships with the bank, he is lying through his teeth. The salespeople have zero relationships with the bank. The only person that does is the finance manager, and that's actually the person who closes the deal. You may get all the way to the back, what they call the box, where they're gonna box you out. They're gonna kick your ass in that
Yeah.
box, like the internal conversation.
Right.
That's actually the salesperson, is
Right.
the finance manager.
Mm-hmm.
All the other people are just playing a role in this process. This process, mind you, that is the same for every car dealership in the United States and probably in other countries, and has been the same process for 50 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about that. When you go into a car dealership, if you don't do your homework and learn how to hustle them, they will hustle you. They have a process for it, a well-oiled process.
Totally.
And so I hear these things and I cringe. I'm like, yeah, he told her that he had contacts with the bank.
And that's fine because like it gets better, right? So
Okay.
he goes, like, what do you do for work? And I'm like, well, I'm self-employed, right? And he's like, do you have any like pay stubs? I'm like, nope. And he's like, so then how are you gonna get a car? I'm like, so I have had this bag and I pulled it out and I had like a stack of bank statements that I print out for 1 year. And he was like, oh, whoa, okay, wasn't expecting that. Then I had like
It's another great move. Come prepared.
come prepared,
Come
right?
prepared.
Yeah. So like my utility bills for the past year, and then like cell phone bills, like all the bills that were in my name, right? And he was like, oh, whoa, like this is a year's worth. I go, oh, it gets better. So I pull out another stack of papers, and it's for another year, right? So it's like I could actually prove that, like not
Yeah.
just for like the past 12 months, but like 2
So
years.
the reason why that's such a good move, because along the way during this process, there are certain touch points that
Mhm.
a car dealer will use to their advantage. One of
Mhm.
them is the stipulations of the deal, right?
Yes,
What they call
yes.
stips.
Mhm.
And those stips, what they're really looking for, like, yes,
Like,
they
can you
need,
fucking afford the car?
yeah, they're
Like,
looking
yes or
for
no?
that, but even more
Yeah.
so, they're looking at how can we convince you that you probably can afford this car.
Yeah.
They're looking to get leverage in the
Right.
deal.
So I'm like, let me just speed this up by
Yeah.
like showing you that, right? And then on top of that, I made sure every time I got my car repair, I used that debit card to pay for it. So then the last like, 8 transactions aside from like CVS and mobile gas or
Yep.
whatever was that I was paying like $900, $1,200, $1,500 to pay the automotive place to fix my car. So I'm like, listen, I could have already had a down payment and put, and made a car payment, but I had to like go and fix this also. So I had like proof of that, right? So he was eating all this up, right? And so he started putting in, what do you call that when you start like calling the banks and putting in all the financing to try and get the person qualified. And every single bank came back and they're like, um, I was disqualified. Basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So 13 banks, they used up every single bank that they had, right? But here's the thing. Okay, it's a BMW dealership. The car I was getting was BMW, the finance bank. It's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
They're not going through Wells Fargo, TD, whatever.
Secondary bank.
Secondary
Yep.
banks, like it's all in house. So that's the relationship that he had because he works.
Got it.
Right. So like,
Interesting.
so he tried to lie about the part where he's like, "Oh, I have a relationship with these banks." I'm like, "No, you don't. Like, what are you talking about?" Right. But that was like the one thing. So he's like, "I'm gonna go out on a limb here and like
Yeah.
do this because he's like, you really can pay for it." He's like, "Please tell me." He's like, "I'm really like, this is really stretching it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm here to get a car. What are you here for?" He's like,
So
Yeah.
so we're gonna go car shopping. I've heard so much here, jam-packed information.
"Yeah, I'll
Like,
get you whatever you want."
yeah, we're gonna go car shopping. We should actually go there, like undercover, incognito, and hustle the car dealership.
Totally.
Because I know just from our conversation, I'm thinking about so many other ways that we can hustle a car dealership. If you have questions, post them in the comments below. Suki and I will jump in there. We'll give you some more information. But we hope you found this practical today. The goal was to make sure that you had something you could take away with and actually do something with. So for now, we're going to wrap it up. You can find our podcast on Apple iTunes. You can find it on Spotify. You can also check us out on Pandora. Also follow us on the Hustle Report on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, if you really like the content you're seeing, please follow along. There's going to be a lot more.
And check out Deluxe Faucet or
Oh yeah,
yes, Dylan Barcena's Instagram.
yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Dilly Photography for coming on here. We appreciate you. Any closing thoughts?
Just keep hustling.
Just keep hustling. The best is yet to come. Bye for now.
Take care.
Go from that top.